Hi everyone, this is Rion Paper. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video and welcome to this very gloomy Wednesday afternoon. I'm probably going to say this a bit more often from now on because it's looking like the weather is going to be pretty awful for the next weeks. But to be honest, awful is very subjective because I actually don't really mind. I quite like this gloomy autumn weather, but yeah, it does not necessarily make for a very bright and well-lit filming setup. But yeah, another month has passed, so it is time for my monthly journal planner flip through. Let's quickly talk about this one because I'm not going to flip through it. This is my 5-year journal. Been keeping up with this pretty well so far. Every day has some sort of entry, sometimes very short, sometimes quite long. And I try to use as many different fountain pen inks in here as possible so that next year I can have fun making, starting to build different color palettes. For example, if this year I've written with orange on a specific day, then next year I might pair that with a different shade of orange, maybe something yellow, maybe something contrasting like a teal or purple. I'm really looking forward to sort of building all sorts of color palettes on these pages. I think that will look very nice at the end of the 5 years. So that's maybe something for a future flip through. I don't know. And then we have these two planners, which I've used quite a lot in September, but I'm also noticing that my planner use is kind of changing a bit now that I have to go into the office 2-3 times a week, and just my weeks are looking a bit different again. So that's something that I've been figuring out for the past 2 months, especially this month actually, like September last month. Anyway, so yeah, this is my my Hobonichi Weeks, the one that I decorated with cat stickers. I'm really gonna miss this one, but I'm afraid of pulling up these stickers because I don't think I'll be able to do that without damaging the fluffy bits. So I'm not gonna transfer these to next year's Hobonichi Weeks. We're gonna do something new for that one, which will be a future video. Let's take a look at the monthly page first. So this was September's monthly. Just some very simple decoration. These lovely washi tapes, I think, were both gifts from my sister. They are like these sort of kiss cut washi tapes that have their silhouette cut out, which doesn't really make a difference when you put them on a simple plain background like this one, but it looks really nice, especially the one with these little light bulbs. When you put it on something else, it's nice that they have the sort of kiss cut lines, like the kiss lines, is that what you call them? I don't know, whatever. But it's nice that it's not like a rectangle smacked on something else, but it looks really good. So yeah, this month was pretty busy, and it doesn't always look like it as on my calendar because I tend to not really backfill this. That's to say, for example, for this month, I've written in quite some stuff, and I may still write in my work days. But other than that, if I make an appointment for, let's say, tomorrow, that sounds like an introvert's nightmare. I like to plan ahead, but sometimes can't be helped. Then I probably won't write it down on my monthly, just on the weekly page. So this is really for planning ahead. And I don't really backfill this. Sometimes I do, but I don't know. There's not really a method to it. So yeah, that's last month's monthly calendar. And then this is this month. Really liking the combination of the different Halloween washi tapes. I've had these tapes for ages and I use them every year and I always look forward to using them. But there's so much on that little roll. And I only really used them in October maybe. So it'll probably last me another 10 years or so. So let's see. And then we have the weekly pages. So this was the first week of September. Super simple decoration, just some washi stickers and, black pen. I use a permanent black pen, like black fountain pen ink for the writing. And then I use a Pigma Micron for the checkboxes, and I use that to color in the checkboxes as well. I could do that with fountain pen ink as well, but I found that the Pigma Micron dries much quicker, so it's easy to keep flipping through the planner and using different pages. Whereas with the permanent fountain pen ink, I really have to leave the planner open for like a minute or so before it's actually really dried well. But I really don't like writing with the Pigma Micron, so I'm glad to have both options. And then we have the second week. I love this decoration. It looks so cute. I initially only had this very big sticker this PET sticker from London Gifties, and I only had this one on the page. And I was so happy to see that it fit the page exactly. Like, it has these sort of like very sharp, straight lines at the side of the decoration, but I didn't cut it there. Like, that's actually how the illustration looks. But then later in the month, I came across like an old sheet that had just these 3 stickers left. These are washi stickers in a very different style, but I thought they fit quite nicely with this, and I still had some space left. I tend to not really decorate on the left page unless the week is already over and I know that I'm not going to write anything on that specific in that specific box. So that's what I did here. And then we have another week, again with very simple decoration. This was actually a bit frightening because I actually accidentally dropped the sticker on the page, and then I had to pull it up, but then the page started ripping and I had to be very, very careful. And it's a bit damaged, but it's not too bad. It didn't go through completely. I was just like pulling the top layer off the paper, but it's only 52 GSM paper, so there's not really much else. But it worked. I didn't destroy the page. It looks okay. And then we have the last week of September with this lovely, lovely sticker from the washi tape shop. I've realized that I'm really enjoying illustrations that have white outlines inside the illustration instead of black outlines. I think it looks just so nice. We haven't really had much planned for the weekends, I see, in September. Like, we spent quite some time working in the garden or just, relaxing when we blocked the weekend to work in the garden, but then the weather turned out to be quite awful and the soil was way too muddy to actually do anything in the garden. And then we were just like, oh, I guess we just have to watch a movie or play some video games today. Like, can't be helped. And you know what? That's actually quite nice sometimes. And then we have this week. So, yeah, not much to say about that. Other than that, my system seems to be working quite well still. So that's nice. I made this sort of cover page for September. I don't know, doesn't really look great. I kind of stopped doing that. I didn't make a cover page for October, so I don't know. I might do it at some point in the future, but maybe I should find like a nice stamp or sticker with like the name of the month, because I just don't really like it when it's written here. I don't know, not really a priority. That's a future me problem. Yeah, just some simple to-do lists. Some days it's very long, some days very short. I skip a few days every now and then, especially work days. I feel like on a work day, at most I have to remember to water the plants, and I don't really need a to-do list for that. I can also just put like the watering can somewhere in the kitchen and I'll see it and I remember and I do the thing. So I don't really need a to-do list for that. But like for the weekends and for my days off, I tend to have quite long to-do lists. I think it's pretty consistently like I have a to-do list for Monday. Oh, wait, I did one for Tuesday here as well. But mostly it's like Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, because those are just the days that I have the most time. Here as well, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. So yeah, pretty consistent. Been liking this sticker from the washi tape shop for this page. It takes up quite a bit of space, but it does give you something really nice to look at. And I put this one down here because I actually accidentally took it off the backing paper because it got stuck somewhere, and then it got all crumpled up. And I was like, okay, let's just stick it here and like make it flat again. And so yeah, that's gonna be next week's decoration. Maybe I'll have to add something. Looks a bit plain and boring right now. But I'm really enjoying these pages in the back. I feel like they're both very functional because, you know, it's basically just a to-do list. But it also gives me an opportunity to do some very minimal decoration, just anything that I come across that I feel like using. Here it was like just some bits of washi tape with the musical notes, and then a couple of these stamp stickers that are all from the same roll. Here it's just like 2 very short strips of washi tape that I thought went well together. You know, it's you can barely even call this decoration, but it's just a nice accent on the page. And it gives me a chance to use things that, especially that I don't really use in bigger pieces or bigger decoration, or maybe it's a sticker that I just have one of, so I can't really use it for any theme, or it's just nice to just put it here and have a space that is very, I don't know, I don't really have to commit to a specific style or anything. I mean, it's not like you ever have to do that, but for example, for the Take a Note planner, the other one, I like to like decorate in a specific style, but I also have quite a lot of stickers and just stationery stuff that doesn't really fit that style. So it's just nice to have a place that where it doesn't really matter what I use, basically. So this is the new Aletone cover that I got from this year's, like the 2025 Hobonichi release. And I should really wipe this cover because it gets dirty so easily. And I put my Take a Note in here, still waiting very patiently for the new Take a Note for next year. And meanwhile, I'm really enjoying using this one. We have the color palette with the inks that I used every day, which is coming along quite nicely. I have the habit tracker. My habits haven't really been that good in September. I also decided to not put too much pressure on that. The thing I've been doing most consistently is playing Duolingo. So yeah, that sums it up quite well. I mean, I haven't really been playing the piano much. I haven't really been singing much or reading much. You know, it's not like I never do those things, but it's quite sporadically. And I really, like, you can't really call it a habit tracker. I think if it's not really habits, it's just things that I want to remind myself to do more often. But then, you know, it's also kind of discouraging when you don't really do the things more often. I feel like I was doing pretty well in the beginning of the year, or at least a bit better. But then again, in the beginning of the year, I also had way more time. So maybe it's not really fair to compare those two very different, I don't know, eras. That's not the right word. Let's see. Then we have the monthly calendar with my mood tracker, sleep tracker, and also like the lowest temperature, highest temperature, and the amount of precipitation. Is that the word? Is it precipitation? I don't know how much rain fell down from the sky, basically. Yeah, and this month I decided to add I only want to do the actual days of the month in black, but I felt like it looked a bit weird having just one day, just a Sunday for that first week. So I was like, you know what if I just copy the amount of sleep for the rest of the week, but make it gray so that it's obvious that this is sort of before the start of the month. And I actually think that looks really nice. So yeah, it's the small things, right? My sleep has been a bit better than last month, but honestly, it was still pretty bad, especially before days that I have to go into the office. And, you know, I think it's a combination of one, having to go into the office, which I don't particularly love because, it's a lot of people, a lot of, I don't know, energy for lack of a better word. And I'm just like happiest in my own little bubble. So, I mean, they're lovely people and I like the actual work tasks that I have to do. It's just that I don't really look forward to going into the office and just sort of entering the buzz and just being there for 8.5 hours. Plus, I have to get up really early. I have to catch the train. This month, I have also been some, how do you call that? Like maintenance things on the rails, like the train tracks. So like for specific parts of my journey, I couldn't take the train. So I had to get a bus, which takes longer, which means that I have to get up even earlier. So yeah, all of that contributed to not really a great month for my sleep, but it's all right. It'll get better eventually. I've decided to just not really make a big deal out of it because I feel like that way maybe it only gets worse. So I don't know. It's gonna get better. And I've been sleeping well on the days that I don't have to go into the office. So just like in a week, it's like more or less fine. It's just that sometimes I'm really tired. But yeah, then we have this month. So that's all set up. I mean, it doesn't really take much setting up, which is really nice. It makes for a very low barrier of entrance. And then we have the last part, which is the daily journaling. The month started off on a Sunday with no journaling, which is something that I've really noticed. Like I don't really journal much on the weekends. So maybe I should just use that space for something else. I don't know, I could just use more decoration, or I just use the space for lists maybe, or for some memories of the week. I just don't really need the journaling on the weekend as much as I need it during the week, which is usually to sort of either process the day and just sort of unwind, but also to just order my thoughts and just get some things out of my head on the paper so that it gets me some clarity. That tends to really help me during the week, but I just don't really need it on the weekends. Here again, we have a week with some lovely London Gifties fall stickers, especially this one with the deer in the autumn forest. Oh, I love that. I'm really been enjoying using all of these autumn colors for this month. Last month, I alternated between a Bordeaux red, like a wine red ink, and a coffee brown ink. And they're both in an extra fine nib, but the pens write very differently and the inks write very differently. So this one looks like it almost like it's written with a fine nib, whereas this looks like an extra fine, which looks a bit weird, but it's fine. Here I did journal on the weekend, so I guess my point from a minute ago is completely invalid for this week. But here I did write on Saturday and Sunday, but I also made a list on Saturday, which I didn't usually do in here, but which worked really well. Just something that I wanted to refer back to later, during the following week. Then we have this week with a muddy green fountain pen ink and some camping fall stickers. We've also been watching, my partner and I have been watching some Studio Ghibli films. So we're finally working on the list. You may remember, if you've seen my media journal setup, I guess that was November or December last year, I set up this page for a Studio Ghibli film tracker because I want to watch all of the films that they made together with my partner. And we'd watched about, I guess, 1/3 or something. And then for, I guess, the entirety of the year, we didn't watch anything. But now we are finally committed to just finishing the list and working our way through. So that's great. And it's been really fun. There have been some new favorites, also some films that I just didn't really vibe with, but that's okay. It's still, I guess I still sort of learn something from it, because you see a film that you've heard people talk about, and now I sort of have an image of what happens in that film and what it looks like and the style and the soundtrack. And it's just nice to have seen it, even if not every film is like an instant classic for you. Here again, I've written something on the weekend. Okay, so maybe it's not always true that I don't journal on the weekend. Maybe it just really depends. I've been liking doing this, like putting a sticker in the middle of the page and writing around it. With some stickers, it works really well. Then we have the week of the 16th of September, where I finally continued reading A Court of Thorns and Roses. I still haven't finished it. I'm the world's, well, I was going to say slowest reader. That's not actually true. I don't really read slow when I'm actually reading. I just read like 2 chapters and then I don't pick up a book for 2 weeks. So if that counts as slow reading, I'm definitely a slow reader, but I'm more like super inconsistent. We watched Whisper of the Heart, which I actually really enjoyed. It was super slow in the beginning, but it was actually a really nice story. And I mean, it's from 1995 and it's set even earlier. So it had this nice, almost retro feel to it. So that was nice. I also watched a live stream of a concert that I couldn't go to. But they had a live stream that you could buy like live stream tickets for. And I really debated whether I wanted to do that, because you could only like see the stream for 72 hours and then it would be gone. So in the end, I did want to do it, because I also felt like it was a good way to support like my favorite band ever, which is Epica, a Dutch symphonic metal band. And the concert was really, really good. It was a special concert in which they didn't have like just the band, but they also had a live orchestra and choir, which fits their music really well. And it was just a very bombastic, special show. Lots of like pyrotechnics, lots of surprises, new songs, just really cool. I'm really glad I did it. And it's really nice to be at a concert experience and just be, I don't know, in the moment and inside the venue with lots of other people. And that's a really special feeling. But it's also quite nice to just enjoy it from your couch with basically the best view in the venue, because the camera just, it's different angles, very zoomed in, very zoomed out. You probably see the show way better that way than when you were actually standing in the audience. The sound was really good. You can just, take a beer from the fridge, just relax with a little blanket, and it's a very comfortable way of enjoying the concert. So that was really fun. This kind of hurts. I was really looking to writing with a yellowish, brownish, like golden brownish ink on this page, and I just didn't journal for 4 days straight. But that happens. Here, I used these stickers. These are from a sample that I have from London Gifties, and it's a color palette that I normally wouldn't really use, and I don't think I would really buy a roll with these stickers. But I had these 2 pens inked up, and I realized that they were actually the perfect match for this decoration. So it's like, if I'm going to use it, I better use it now. And this week I just experimented with adding some more decorations so that I didn't have to write as much every day to make the page look full, which worked really well from Monday to Friday, but then I didn't really journal on the weekend. And then this is this week. I still need to write yesterday's entry. I did actually sort of write it, as in I typed it in my notes on my phone when I was on the train yesterday, when I was on the train back home from work. which is something that I've noticed that when I come home from work and I have to cook dinner and, we have to sort of clean the kitchen, feed the cats, everything. Like by the time that I sit down at my desk to just, play video games for an hour before I go to bed, something like that, I don't really feel like writing anymore. But that's also kind of a missed opportunity to process my thoughts and feelings from the day. So what I like to do then is just type it out on my phone while, for example, I'm on the train or something. Like it's time that I'm not really doing other things. So it's very easy to just, take out my phone and start typing. And then when I feel like writing, but not really like thinking, I don't know if that's something that you can relate to, but sometimes I just feel like picking up a pen and writing, but I just don't have the brain power to actually think about what I want to write. Then I just take out my phone again and I just sort of copy out my entry for that day on the page. So that's something I'll sometimes do because I don't really like taking my planner with me. Trains in the Netherlands are not really, like they usually have these sort of tables that, how do you say that? Like these folding tables from the chair before you, from the seat before you, and you can just sort of like fold it down and put something on it. But like the whole train is always shaking, so I can't write anything near neatly when I'm on the train. So that is not a pleasant experience. So I just don't do that. So yeah, I've also been listening to the Elder Scrolls soundtrack this week, which I kind of forgot how good that soundtrack is. Here was listening to some older ones, but I'm really enjoying the soundtrack from Elder Scrolls Online, like the MMORPG that they have. And I think most of the soundtrack is composed by Brett Derrick, and it's just very atmospherical. It's a great soundtrack to have on with like noise cancelling headphones while you're working or just, I don't know, drawing something or coloring something. It's a really nice background music. So yeah, it's on Spotify if you want to check it out. And with that, I think we've come to the end of the video. I was going to keep it short, but somehow I still managed to talk for almost 30 minutes straight. So I hope you don't mind. And if you do mind, you've probably clicked away by now. So if you didn't, thank you for sticking around until the end. I hope September treated you well, and I hope you're going to have a great October. And I hope to see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.